The idea sounds almost unbelievable. Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal, two of the greatest rivals in sports history, have reportedly come together to invest $50 million. Not in a tournament, not in a stadium, but in a 20-year-old girl from the Philippines. They didn't invest in infrastructure, they invested in a person. In her name, in her story, in her future. Two global icons. Two billionaires. Two legends who spent decades trying to outplay each other on the biggest stages in the world, now sitting on the same side of the table, backing the same rising star. And if this is true, it's something tennis has never seen before. Because this isn't just an investment. This is a statement. Stay with me, because by the end of the story, you'll understand why this moment matters, why it feels inevitable, and why it could change the future of women's tennis forever. To understand this, you have to go back to Manacor, to the red clay courts of the Rafael Nadal Academy. A 12-year-old girl arrives from the Philippines. She's carrying two rackets, traveling with her brother, and holding onto a dream that sounds almost too big to say out loud. She wants to win Grand Slams. She wants to become world number one. In a country that had never produced a single player inside the world's top 100, that dream didn't just sound ambitious. It sounded impossible, but she believed it anyway. Her name? Alexandra Eala. What followed was an overnight success. It was quiet, relentless, built day by day. Eala wasn't just talented. She was disciplined, focused, patient in a sport that punishes impatience. At just 14, she captured the Australian Open Junior Doubles title. A year later, she added another at Roland Garros Junior Doubles. And then came the breakthrough. In 2022, at only 17 years old, she made history, becoming the first Filipino ever to win a junior Grand Slam singles title at the US Open Girls Singles. It was a milestone, a powerful one, but in tennis, junior success is only the beginning, because the real test is the professional tour. Eala turned pro and stepped into the grind. The ITF Women's World Tennis Tour isn't glamorous. It's early flights, empty stands, long weeks, small prize money. It's where dreams either fade or harden into something stronger. She fought through it all. Her first ITF title came in Manacor in 2021. Then another, and another. No shortcuts, no hype, just progress. The rankings didn't skyrocket overnight, but they moved. Slowly, honestly. By the start of 2025, she was ranked 143 in the world. Not a global superstar yet, but something real was forming. Back home in the Philippines, she was already more than a player. She was a symbol, a breakthrough, proof that something once considered impossible might actually be within reach. And the people who believed in her early never left. Globe Telecom supported her when she was just 8 years old. Babolat put a racket in her hand and stayed with her journey. They saw something long before the world did. And now, the world is starting to catch up. Because when legends like Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal align behind a player, it means something bigger is happening. This isn't just about talent. It's about belief at the highest level. It's about recognizing a future before it fully arrives. And maybe that's the real story here. Not the money, not the headlines, but the moment the game itself turns and says, "This is the one to watch." Because if everything continues on this path, Alexandra Eala isn't just chasing history anymore. She's not just chasing history anymore. She's becoming it. Before the world fully caught on, there were already signs. Nike had put their logo on her early, long before she had a single WTA title to her name. That kind of belief doesn't happen by accident. It comes from seeing something others miss. Alongside loyal partners like Globe Telecom and Babolat, she had support. Real support. But here's the truth. No one in the global commercial world had fully grasped what they were looking at. Not yet. And that was about to change. Not slowly. Not quietly. Not behind closed doors in some corporate meeting. It was about to happen in the loudest, most public way possible. March 2025. The Miami Open. Bright afternoon. Packed stands. The entire tennis world watching. And right there in the middle of it all, everything shifted. To understand how big this moment was, you need context. Entering a WTA 1000 event as a wild card, ranked 143 in the world? That's not a fairy tale setup. That's survival mode. You're not expected to win. You're not expected to go deep. You're there to fill a slot, to give a high-ranked player an easy first round. That's the script. But nobody handed that script to Alex Eala. First round. Across the net, Yelena Ostapenko, a former French Open champion. Explosive. Dangerous. The kind of player who can end rallies in a single swing. Eala didn't hesitate. She took control. Match over. Next up, Madison Keys, a Grand Slam champion, top-tier power, one of the most feared hitters on tour. This was supposed to be the end of the run. Instead, Eala dismantled her. Straight sets. Now the whispers started. Who is this girl? And then came the moment, the one that changed everything. Across the net stood a giant of the sport, a world number 2, a multiple Grand Slam champion, one of the most dominant forces in modern tennis. The expectation? Reality would finally catch up. The run would end. It didn't. Alex Eala won. Not in chaos. Not by luck, but with control, with clarity, with composure far beyond her years. Straight sets. A 20-year-old wild card, ranked outside the top 100, walking onto one of the biggest stages in tennis, and beating the best players in the world like she belonged there. Because she did. After the match, the question came. How do you feel? She smiled. Calm. Grounded. Unshaken. And she said, my level is there, but I still have a lot to work on. That was it. No arrogance. No shock. No overreaction. Just quiet confidence. That was the moment everything changed. Her ranking didn't just move, it exploded. From outside the top 100 to firmly inside it. She became the first Filipino player in history to break into the WTA Top 100. She made history as a wild card, taking down multiple Grand Slam champions in a single event. The Philippines erupted. Media, fans, social platforms. Her following surged overnight. Her name was everywhere, and far away from the noise. In private rooms, in quiet offices, on screens glowing late into the night, 2 men were watching very closely. One of them had already changed the business of tennis forever, turning smart investments into a billion-dollar empire. The other had built a global powerhouse from clay courts under the Spanish sun, shaping champions from the ground up. One had mastered the art of timing. The other had seen this story from the beginning. Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal, rivals for decades, opposites in style, equals in greatness. Now both retired, both influential far beyond the court. And for the first time in years, they were looking at the same player, at the same moment, with the same realization. This isn't just talent. This is timing. This is inevitability. Because when legends like Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal both see it, it usually means the rest of the world is about to. After Miami, the question was simple. Was this just a moment or the beginning of a movement? The answer came quickly, and it came loudly. Through the rest of 2025, Alex Eala didn't fade. She built, step by step, match by match, stage by stage. In June, she reached her first ever WTA Tour final at the Eastbourne International, a grass-court event known for favoring power players and big servers. On paper, it wasn't her surface. It wasn't her battlefield, but she made it one. She fought her way to the final. She didn't win, but in tennis, your first final isn't just a result. It's a signal, a message to the entire tour. She's coming. Then came New York, the US Open, her first ever Grand Slam main draw appearance. First round, pressure, lights, history waiting. Across the net stood Clara Tauson. The match went the distance. 3 sets. And in the third, Eala was down 5-1. Match almost gone. But what happened next is the kind of moment that defines careers. With the crowd in Queens rising to their feet, she fought back, point by point, game by game. She forced a tiebreak, and then she won it. 7-6, 11-9 in the breaker. After 2 hours and 36 minutes. It wasn't just a win.
It was history.
The first Grand Slam main draw victory by a Filipino player in the Open era. The roar inside that stadium? People who were there still talk about it. And she didn't stop. Later that season, she captured her first WTA 125 title in Guadalajara, another historic milestone. By the end of 2025, she had climbed to world number 50, the highest ranking ever achieved by a Filipino player, from 143 in January to 50 in December. A 93-spot rise in a single year. That's not hype. That's momentum. And 2026? It started exactly the same way. Relentless. At Indian Wells, she reached the fourth round of a WTA 1000 event, battling past Diana Yastremska in a grueling 2-hour, 43-minute match that kept fans glued to their seats deep into the California night. Now, as of March 2026, she's world number 29. Not top 50,
Not top 40.
top 30. Before turning 21, the highest-ranked Filipino player in WTA history. Even the media is starting to recognize it. At an event in London, Gigi Salmon said something that stopped the room cold. In terms of appeal, she might already be the biggest star. Not rising star. Not young star. Biggest. Now think about that. If you're Roger Federer, sitting in Zurich, a billionaire built on perfect timing and smart investments, what are you thinking when you hear that? And if you're Rafael Nadal, the man who watched her grow up on your courts at the Rafa Nadal Academy, what are you feeling? The answer? The same thing. And they were ready to act. Now the story gets bigger. Because to understand what happened next, you have to understand them. Roger Federer retired in 2022, but he didn't slow down. He scaled up. His investment in On Running, a small stake back in 2019, turned into one of the most successful athlete business moves ever, growing into hundreds of millions as the company exploded globally. Add to that a $300 million deal with Uniqlo, plus partnerships with Rolex and Mercedes-Benz, and by 2025, he crossed the billion-dollar mark. Not by chance, by vision. He understood something fundamental. The most valuable thing an athlete has isn't a trophy. It's their story. Rafael Nadal took a different path, but reached the same level of influence. After retiring in 2024, he expanded a global empire, anchored by the Rafa Nadal Academy, with locations across the world. Hotels, real estate,
Media.
investments. But more than anything, legacy. He once said, standing beside Federer, that records will be broken, but character lasts forever. Now fast forward. Early 2026. Alex Eala, 20 years old. World number 29. Global attention rising fast. A player connecting Southeast Asia to the global tennis audience. A story people believe in. And that's when everything aligned. Behind the scenes, Team 8, Federer's business arm, began conversations. On the other side, Nadal's team already had something more valuable than money. Trust.
History.
Connection. And then, the deal took shape. $50 million. Not for a sponsorship, not for a logo, but for something much bigger. An investment into the brand of Alex Eala. Her identity, her story, her future as a global figure. This isn't traditional. This is evolution. Think of it like Federer's move with On Running, not just endorsing, owning a piece of the outcome. The structure spans everything: media, licensing, global endorsements, content creation, expansion into Southeast Asia, one of the fastest-growing sports markets in the world. Over 100 million people in the Philippines alone. Hundreds of millions across the region following her rise. And then there's the deeper layer. For Nadal, this is personal. She's a product of his academy, a living reflection of everything it was built to create. For Federer, it's strategy. Find something real. Find it early. And believe in it before the world does. And for Eala, it means everything. Because two of the greatest figures the sport has ever seen have looked at her and said, "We believe in you." Not for a moment, for a career. So, what does this mean for women's tennis? It means the model is changing. This isn't just a fairy tale. This is a blueprint. A player rises. A story connects. And instead of brands reacting late, legends invest early. From world number 143 to number 29 in just over a year. Multiple champions defeated. Titles won. History made. And now, a $50 million belief in what comes next. This is just the beginning. And every chapter from here, the world will be watching. If this story moved you, if it made you believe in something bigger, make sure you stay with it. Because what comes next could redefine the future of tennis.